Welcome to Momentum, a motorsports podcast powered by High Gear Success. I'm your host, Heather Wilson Schiltz. Here we share the stories and strategies that keep the world of motorsports moving forward. Today I'm welcoming Kat Voiles to the show, a senior live event manager for Feld Entertainment who works on Monster Energy SMX World Championship. So Kat, thank you for joining me.
Hey Heather, thanks for having me. Excited to be a part of this and dive into some fun things, all SMX.
Yeah, a lot of behind the scenes content too, which I think will be really cool for fans. So you've been with Feld since 2018, first starting in media operations, correct?
Yeah, this is going to be my 8th season. And fortunately for me, it's been a fun and a wild ride. Every year, either more tasks are added to the plate or the sport evolves. And I just get to be a part of the magic that we continue to create at Feld Entertainment. So exciting to be in the role that I am with the team that I have and just be along for the journey. You know, when I started 8 years ago, I was coordinating interviews and helping kind of more boots on the ground. And now as a senior live event manager, I'm running all things, our media sessions out in California, which is preseason content, to our live event experience, anything the fans see or hear once they hit an event, and then working closely with our broadcast team and our public relations team, and just kind of a jack of all trades, but it's a really fun role. And I tell people that I truly have the best job in the world of Supercross. So I'm fortunate to be a part of it and excited to share some of that with you and your listeners.
Before you even went to work for Feld, when did you or where did you get your love for motorsports?
So I grew up with a dirt bike track in my backyard. My brother actually used to race ATVs professionally. So I have the ATV roots, which I know some of the dirt bike fans have mixed feelings about, but that truly gave me a love for the sport. And I grew up riding, never racing. I'm a roller, but once you have a love for it, it doesn't really go away. And going into college, I wanted to be pre-med. I have a lot of medical family members and I had my CNA. And after going through some of the classes and taking a deeper dive at what I wanted to do professionally and for my life in general, I spoke with a career counselor who helped me choose to kind of change my path and see if I could mix my passion with sports and dirt bike racing into a professional career. And I was very fortunate to be able to do that. And I ended up working for a minor league hockey team, getting on the microphone, getting to announce some sports in a live setting, and then working at the Dome in St. Louis, putting on concerts like Beyonce, Guns N' Roses, conventions and trade shows, and then also events like Monster Jam and Monster Energy Supercross through Feld Entertainment. So after those experiences, it really helped shape me into having experience on the logistics and event planning side. And when an opportunity came up with Feld and they offered to move me to Florida to work in my dream job at 24 years old, it was like all the stars aligned and I was like super excited to accept it and have been glowing in this field ever since.
So what does a typical weekend look like for you at the races from the time that the fans are walking into the stadium to the time that they're walking out?
Sure. So for me, I'm very fortunate. I do get to fly in and out to every event and come home for a couple of days in between. But we have a crew who are boots on the ground. They fly from city to city, our operations crew, and they truly are the warriors and the heroes of Supercross. So a quick shout out to them. They build everything, they tear it down, and then they go to the next city. But for me and my small team that puts on the live event portion of the events, we fly in. For the first event, we fly in on Wednesday because we do have a pre-race press conference at Anaheim. But we fly in, we have to set up our press conference, work directly with the stadium for all things fan experience. So every graphic that you see on the LED boards, the ribbons, the big screens, getting our logos and the placements in the right place, all of the content that you see on the big screens, the commercials, Lurch and Haley doing interviews, the whole entire race day live show. So getting all of the pieces into place so that when the fans do walk in on Saturday morning for Fan Fest and for the live event, everything's already ready to go. So there's quite a bit that goes into it. We'd be here all day if I told you every little detail, but some of the things that I truly enjoy, I have a love-hate relationship with trophies. I get to work with a team to design, and then we have a supplier who builds our trophies. Some years they've been better than others, but it is fun to get to see them from a concept into place and then have the athletes raise them at the end of the night is truly a full circle moment. So yeah, all of the things that a fan can experience in the stadium, such as the champagne spray to the big pyro booms. We have a pyro supplier, Dynamic Effects, who's truly incredible. They make all of the magic happen. And if we change our minds on if we want more smoke or bigger flames or colored flames, they are on it with all of the new technologies. So, in the past, we've had lasers for different shows, coordinating spotlights so that you truly get that under the light feel. So, anything that the fans can see or experience in stadium, myself and my team work on and trying to make it truly a fun and magical event for those who spend their hard-earned dollars to come witness the sport of Supercross.
The pyro is so cool. And like when you're sitting in the stadium, I just remember like feeling the heat, especially like, I don't know if it's at every round, but the ones that I've been to where they cross the finish line and then it, throws up that flame. Yeah. I mean, like you feel it as you're sitting in the stands. So I think that's really cool. We've
had some fun media coverage in different cities that aren't used to having us all of the time, or even those that are who are like, is this a UFO? And they'll post a picture of the big like black circle ring in the air. And it's like, it's not a UFO. It's just Supercross. We'll be back again next year, guys. But yeah, you could feel that heat. So it's fun.
How do you bring in the storytelling element to it too on the screens? I imagine a lot of that stuff is filmed probably weeks or months in advance. So how do you bring that storytelling element to the fans in the stadium?
Sure. So yeah, in beginning of December, we had our media sessions out in Anaheim. So we bring in a lot of the athletes, and I run them through a car wash of stations where we get headshot photos and hero shots, and they sit in front of our television production. They sit in front of our race day live production. They sit in front of Ricky and James and all of our announcers to, tell their stories so that they can have little tidbits to speak on throughout the season. And it's 4 hours worth of content capture, but they get it done before the first race so that we have that to use throughout all 31 of the Monster Energy SMX World Championship rounds, not only Supercross, but Pro Motocross and at our playoffs and finals. So it's great that we gather all of that content and that storytelling in December. But as you know, being a journalist yourself, stories change and that the storylines are constantly evolving. So it's really great to work with the crew of professionals that I do with Haley Shanley and Lurch and JB and AC for the Race Day Live crew. They're just top level and they really dig deep, and we have meetings weekly to just talk through, hey, how are we going to tell these stories better? Can we get out into the pits? Can we get under the tents? Can we talk with these guys during the week to just see what's going on? And then work with an incredible videographer team who make our opening ceremonies videos and truly create that magic and tell it in such a cinematic way so that you really only get to experience that if you buy a ticket to the event and see it on the big screen, and we tie in the pyro and we make that magic happen. So you get the drama and the cinematic feel of what these athletes are going through, but then you get to see the magic of what the sport entails and just how grueling it is. So yeah, I'm a little partial, but opening ceremonies and the videos are some of my favorite part of just how we get to tell those stories.
Yeah, opening ceremony is always really cool, but there's also so much content that goes on even before the actual racing gets started. So
Absolutely.
As a fan, you don't want to be walking in just before opening ceremonies. It's definitely an all-day experience.
It truly is, yeah. So for Anaheim, and we're fortunate this year to have some scheduling changes, on purpose. This year, all of our viewers consistently can watch a 7 p.m. Eastern Time gate drop. So that's for all of our international viewers too, worldwide. It gives them a better opportunity to not have to stay up to midnight or 4 a.m., whatever it is in your time zone, to watch the gate drops. But that's at 15 of, I believe, of our 17 races. That'll be a consistent viewing time. But as you mentioned, our racing doesn't start at 7 p.m. We have a whole day of activities. So if you come to the Fan Fest, doors will open at 9 a.m. You get there, you can, go out to the Rig Riot, go see the Monster Energy or the Kawasaki demos in the pits, get your autographs, come in stadium. And this year we had a very exciting scheduling and format change. So we'll be no longer having our free practice. We'll have 2 qualifying sessions, and this will give the riders the adequate time they need on track for qualifying and to really get a gauge for the track. But more importantly, it's going to give our track crew time to fix the track and to maintain the track so that it is the best track possible for the evening main races. So I'm excited for that, but that gives our fans who do attend an opportunity to come in stadium, see some qualifying, see their favorite riders, early on in the day, but also get to see some content that I mentioned we filmed in early December on the big screen and some behind the scenes type of stuff. So yeah, it's a truly all day event and a very exciting event, to say the least.
And you mentioned that most of the races are taking place at 7 p.m. Eastern, which as a Midwest person in the Eastern time zone, I appreciate, because
Absolutely.
I was just never the type of person to be able to stay up that late. I'm not a night owl. So yeah, it's they kind of started doing that a little bit last year too, but I feel like it's going to be even more consistent this year. And since I'll be out at A1, I was just looking at that because, again, in my head it was 7 p.m., but I'm like, no, it'll be what, 3 p.m. there, 4 p.m.
Yeah. So our opening ceremonies or our opening ceremonies will be 3:30, and the main event start time would be 4 o'clock. So it's going to feel a little different, that fan experience that I mentioned. We're used to Anaheim 1 always being dark under the lights. I get those spotlights like we mentioned, but at 3:30 it isn't going to be dark. But like I said, our pyro team is very innovative. We're still going to get that feel of it being magical and get the big booms, have some colored smoke, some fun things like that. So it will be a change for those in stadium, but the racing action is going to be top notch as it always is. And again, part of the bigger picture is, now millions worldwide will have a more accessible opportunity to watch those gate drops consistently at a time that makes sense. Because you being Midwestern, but a lot of those on the East Coast are like, midnight to stay up to watch Supercross? Oh boy, it's quite the dedication. So I know we have a lot of East Coasters who are really happy about the 7 o'clock consistency.
I think it'll be interesting too, from like a family perspective. If you had young kids, now you're going more in the middle of the day versus
Absolutely.
like late at night when maybe the kids are getting a little cranky. So I think it'll be a different environment in the stadium too.
Yeah. And having to stay until 10, 11 o'clock at night, or if we have any unfortunate events on track that cause delays, then you're looking at a midnight and you're not even getting out of the parking lot until then. So yeah, I think this will really provide a great opportunity, as I mentioned, for those viewers, but for those in stands, make a full day out of it, and still you can get home and get the kids to bed at a decent hour. So, because it's truly incredible. Our sport has the core fans, a lot of guys. There are some girls who are diehards, like us, who appreciate the sport. But we're starting to see, these last couple of years, a lot more families coming. And with it being an earlier time, as you mentioned, I think that will create a better opportunity for it to continue to expand to families. So we're excited for that, especially with our SMX Next racing program, with getting some of those younger athletes onto Supercross tracks, onto Pro Motocross tracks earlier, because the sport of Supercross, as I had mentioned, started with me and my brother and our family traveling around to races. It truly does have that family vibe, and it's great to bring that, to families mainstream who maybe don't ride but want to experience and see the sport together.
You mentioned working with a lot of different teams, audiovisual teams, operations, media. How do you keep everybody aligned? And you're dealing with very tight deadlines. And this is a live event production, so there's really no room for error. So how do you keep everybody so aligned?
It's not an easy task. I'm constantly learning. I always tell myself, strive for progress, not perfection. Although perfection is my standard, but I realize it's not always going to be perfect. A lot of times what I want and what we can actually attain are two different things. But I have a great crew that works directly underneath me that helps put the vision into place. And working with different personalities is a skill that has definitely come over the years. And then as deadlines, as you mentioned, they're not going anywhere and they're not moving anytime. So you can't make excuses. We just have to get the job done. There's been times I'm stuck at the stadium till 11, 12 o'clock, finishing a script or updating an opening ceremonies plan or getting last minute content into place. And then I have to be back at the stadium for an early start at 5 a.m. But that's just a part of the job. And it's, what I signed up for. I do love this sport, but to be a part of the magic truly is a great blessing. And there are challenges as with any job, but I always tell people I'd rather be working in dirt bike racing than, sitting at a desk and, selling insurance or doing accounting. And I can joke with that because some family is in insurance and my husband is an accountant. So I have the fun job, and as with any job, there's challenges, but it is very rewarding.
And this is a touring series, so you're constantly adapting to different venues each week. It's not like you just get set up for the season and you're good to go. Everything's the same. So what has been some logistical challenges that you face time and time again and that you're maybe getting better at solving on the fly?
Sure. Yeah, having a background working at the Dome as an event manager definitely helped me with the logistics side of event planning, and then also being able to work with the different dynamics of the personnel that you face when you come to a new stadium. So that helped me in understanding that and being able to communicate our needs now being a client versus being a host venue. But yeah, we go to 16 different professional stadiums over the course of 17 weekends, Anaheim being the only one we repeat. So we're constantly working, all this, we'll call it off season, which is, the couple of weeks after our SMX playoffs and final, where we're prepping for the upcoming season. We're planning Anaheim, all our California rounds, looking into, we're excited to return to Houston. We haven't been there for a couple of years. So we're meeting with those buildings constantly. But now that Anaheim is about to begin, we're already looking at rounds 6, 7, and 8 and planning the logistics there. Because as you mentioned, every stadium's different. So we set up in different rooms. We have different booths upstairs, coaches and radio booths. Where will Race Day Live be? Are we able to set it up on a concourse or an accessible place to the fans? Can I get internet there? Do I need spotlights in this market? So every venue has its own challenges. Luckily, a lot of these venues are repeat. So the staff remember us. They all usually enjoy our show and are excited to work with us. But then other challenges arise, when you come to a new venue. We're very excited to go to Cleveland this year. We haven't played there. The venue was much different, years and years ago when we played. So we're treating it as a first time played venue. But again, the logistics, we had to fly there for a site visit to just get boots on the ground, get a feel for it. Where will I set up, our race control room? Where will Race Day Live be? Is the press box adequate enough? So, a list of miles long of questions that are just constantly changing, but it keeps it fun. I would be bored if it wasn't fun.
We talked about the on-screen portion earlier, but has technology changed in the years since you first started with Feld as far as the in-stadium technology, or has it stayed relatively the same?
Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of the venues we go to have been updating their LED screens. So you'll get bigger screens or you'll get different dimensions, and every package is different. So we have a graphic design team who has to make brand new elements every week for different stadium size boards. So that has been cool, but it has also provided some challenges. Playing at Gillette Stadium, they reconstructed their board. So was it last year or 2 years ago when we were there? We didn't have access to the big screen. So we had to rent supplemental screens to bring in. That's happened in a couple of different places. We've either been fortunate that one board is out and under construction for renovations, but another board is still active, so we could use that. But other technologies, working closely with our television team. We have a live view camera, so we're able to do some live hits out in the fan chest. Previously, where our RF cameras hadn't reached. And then, our TV team is constantly looking at new technologies that are developing, whether it be testing with Justin Brayton with, onboard communication, some other cameras. So yeah, lots of fun things, always looking for new and innovative ways to storytell better and to make the sport and the experience top notch.
So many moving pieces, a lot of behind the scenes stuff going on. Is there something that you think fans would be surprised to learn about what it takes to pull off a Supercross event?
Um, I don't know if it would be surprising, but it is truly go, go, go from the minute you land into the city to we're packing up and loading up all the press conference equipment and pushing it onto the semi trucks and finally closing the semi trucks doors at 2 a.m. in the pouring rain. And you go back to the hotel and you got to get on your flight at 6 or 7 a.m. So I don't know if it'd be surprising because, as I alluded to, I'm fortunate enough to fly in and fly out, but our crew who works so hard, I mean, they are nonstop all the time. So the thing that I find most, I guess, amazing about this sport is how our crew can transform. We were just in Angel Stadium doing content capture, and their pristine grass looks beautiful. The field is just immaculate. And I'm like, well, we'll be here in a couple of weeks putting our dirt down and tearing up your fields. But just the transformation that our crew is able to do, to me, is just the most mind-blowing. And it takes a lot of time, a lot of dedication, a lot of hard work. Our guys are out in all elements, a lot of stadiums with no roof, and the show must go on. We have to have the races. So that's the most surprising to me, is just how much work it takes to, not only plan these, as, myself and our full-time crew get to do during our off season, but then to truly build it is just a work of art. And all the credit goes to those guys and gals who are building that week in and week out.
You mentioned weather factors. So does that tend to affect the technology very much, or is everything pretty much waterproof at this point?
Oh boy. Nothing is ever 100% waterproof or foolproof, but a lot of our cameras have, over the years, they've developed, different things to use to keep them covered and to keep them safe and to still be able to shoot in the rain. Our poor track guys out there in the muck, I wish there was a way to weatherproof them, because it's, like I said, they're true heroes. But when you have a rain and mud race, I mean, there is not a part of their body that is clean, except for when they take that helmet off and it's like, this is brown, but everything else is like, you can see their hair, and then everything else is brown. So, yeah, I wish there was a way to weatherproof those guys, but, yeah, I mean, we're just accustomed to it with being out in the elements, so we're able to prepare. But yeah, rain plans have to be in place, on Fridays. If we're expecting weather for Saturday, we'll meet with the AMA and our rules and regulations officials, and I'll work up a couple of different variations of the schedule so that I have them ready to put into place, so that if we do need to have a delayed time for bikes on track, I already have that format ready to go. And if it gets way more rain than we're expected, I have plan B, C, and D. Or if it ends up being a little bit lighter, then, hey, you know what? We can, in years past, we can still run practice, and maybe we need to shorten the qualifiers. But yeah, it's trying to be prepared as best as possible.
When it comes to live event production, I would imagine, I don't know, it would stress me out to be doing the magnitude of stuff that you're doing. But do you feel like you get an adrenaline rush every time that you're at the stadium? And do you feel like you're prepared, or do you like that unpredictable nature of the live events?
That's a tough question, because I feel like it's a little bit of a mixed bag. Going into Anaheim for the first race of the season, there's so many emotions and there's so many things. You're like, did I get that done? Yeah. Okay. Did I do that one thing? No, but I can do it tomorrow. Or, oh, and then, your mind's on Anaheim, but you're also working on, Glendale and the next couple of races down the road. But to me, my favorite part is being up in show control. I've got my headset on. We're in communication with our television trucks. We're in communication with all of the guys down on the floor. We have house communication to make sure the ribbons and the audio is all good. So there's like 14 people in my panel that I could talk to at any point. And a good day is where I might not need to talk to any of them because everything's in place, but if it's, emergency DEFCON, hey, Lurch, go run up into the stands. You just got to be quick on your feet and think of those things. And I do feel like I thrive on the chaos a little bit. I enjoy it. I don't think I would be successful in this role if I didn't. But at the same time, I love when a plan does come together and it can be a little more chill and I can actually enjoy the racing that gets to unfold in front of us. So I'd say I do thrive in the chaos. I enjoy the adrenaline. Even going to Anaheim, this will be my 8th year being there for Anaheim, London. It's always so magical to be able to just be there for the first race and kick off the season. So
I think for your role, you have to be a person that just enjoys like rolling with the punches. And like you said, you're prepared, but also you're prepared for things to go off track too.
Right.
So you can make those adjustments and you're totally cool with it.
Yeah. And like I said, I like to have a plan and I would love for my plan to be the one that's in place. But as I've learned through the years, I have to be willing to accept, okay, we're moving to plan C, D, and even the plan that I didn't have. Unfortunately in Charlotte for SMX, due to the weather, we had to end up concluding the races after one moto, which in the history of our sport, I don't believe had happened before, maybe one other time. And that was something, we're up in the control room, all of the head honchos trying to talk through the different outcomes, the different scenarios. What can we do? How can we still give the fans the experience? But due to the inclement weather, there was no foreseeable end in sight for the lightning strikes. And it just wasn't safe for the athletes and it wasn't safe for the fans. And that was something we hadn't seen before, to just call it and have to end it right there. So, just knowing, hey, your option might not be one of the ones that you thought of ahead of time, but how do you, okay, this is how it's going to go. Now get the next steps in place. And just being able to have that mindset takes some work and doesn't come easy, but is definitely rewarding when you can get the final pieces into place.
Something else just came to mind for me too, and I don't know if you work on this or not, but like the science of Supercross segments, are you involved with that at all?
Pam Mariani is our producer of that, and she is incredible. She can create magic out of something that I would think would be the most boring thing in the world, but she can tell those stories in such an incredible way. And Kawasaki's been a great partner in doing that and finding creative ways to tell those stories. But I get to see that magic on the big screen. I've been a part of some of the shoots that she's been at to see those live, but she gets all the credit for making all of those for sure.
I think those are such cool segments, and I love the educational element of those because there are some people that aren't racers or aren't involved in the industry that are just fans of the sport, and so being able to educate them about different technology or bike setup or different things that the athletes are doing, I think is really cool.
Yeah, like a common fan may have no idea what a whole shot device is, and they take 2 minutes to fully explain, how does it work? Why does it work? Why do we have this technology where years ago, they never had this in dirt bike racing? So the way they're able to tell those stories and expose some of those intricacies to the common fan is really magical.
And this has been probably several years ago now, but the Makeup to Mud series that they did, I thought that was so cool. I think they only did it for one season. I would love for that to come back in some fashion.
I think we had a couple of seasons of it, and one of my team members, Brianna Marcotte, was featured on there with her sister, and now she works full time for Feld. So it's cool to see that come full circle. But yeah, that was a great series and a great way to show women in motocross and the different ways that there's a lot of women behind the scenes. I think of all of the wives, and now that I'm a mom now, all of the moms of these athletes and the wives of these athletes who are moms, and how they kind of created a family sport, but they're truly like holding it together while dad's out there, risking his life on a dirt bike. And then, you have the other side of it with our WMX, which we have an exciting announcement for Anaheim. We're looking forward to that. I won't give away any details, but we're really excited for the sport of WMX and how it's been able to expand, as I mentioned, with our SMX World Championship Series. So we're really looking forward to that exciting announcement coming up, but truly just giving the eyeballs to women in motorsports, and not only those on the bike, but those behind the scenes, to just give them the attention that they deserve, because, girls like us are pretty awesome, and we like to show the world and to tell those stories. So
when you're not living inside of a stadium, what helps you kind of recharge and stay creative during such a busy and demanding season?
Well, as I mentioned, I'm a mom now. So I have a 1.5-year-old, Brighton. He truly is the he brightens the day. He's been on 12 airplanes and been to more Supercross or SMX races than most fans get to attend in their life. But I'm very fortunate to be able to bring him to some of the races. And my husband's a true support. And just when I'm gone and mom's gone on weekends, dad's home hanging out with Brighton and they're watching SMX on TV. But to be able to fly home and have, we're back on the computer by Sunday, you're submitting payroll. Monday, Tuesday, you're back on the computer planning the next events. But to have the support of, my family at home is really where I get the recharge for the batteries. But then, we have a close family on the road too. Those of us who are in the trenches, who live for this, who love it, who unfortunately have to leave their actual families at home to come do this on the weekends. So, my crew who work directly with me, TJ and Emily, they're always working so hard, and I know I can come to them with anything, and they're ready to make Supercross successful in whatever way is needed. But just having a great support on and off the road is really what keeps me going. And then having a passion for this, growing up with it and watching it on TV and going to Indianapolis and watching it from the stands to now being able to create that magic and be a part of it. Again, like I mentioned at the beginning, I feel like I have the best job, not only in the world, but in the industry. So truly blessed to be able to do what we do.
With all of the flying and travel that you do you feel like you are a travel pro, or do you still struggle with getting things packed?
Travel pro might be a little bit of a stretch after 8 years of getting on and off airplanes. I would say I don't know about pro, but I'm close to expert. We're getting there. The one thing it blows my mind is anyone who works in this sport who doesn't have TSA pre-check. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you have to have it. It's the best investment for yourself. But yeah, I show up to the airport every Thursday morning or Wednesday morning, depending on what week it is, and get on the airplane, go through TSA, and it doesn't really faze me. But I tell people I see more airports, more hotels, and more stadiums than I see of my own bed. But again, wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, I have pre-check as well, and I think I've renewed it for like the second time, and I couldn't imagine not having it. And there was like a stretch of time where my husband didn't have it. I'd be like, well, see you later, and I'd leave him in the normal security line. Yeah. He'd be through like 45 minutes later. But he has pre-check now because, again, why wouldn't you?
Because he has a wife who's smart, who said, yeah, you're going to be getting
filled out the paperwork for him, sent him to the appointment. So, yeah.
Well, sorry for you. I'm sure Doug's very appreciative of that now that he doesn't have to wait in the normal line.
Yeah. So tell us where people can connect with Monster Energy SMX World Championship.
Yeah, so make sure you check out supermotocross.com, and you can get all things needed for all 31 events. You can get the results. We have a live timing app, get ways of where to watch. You can also connect with any of our hosts on their Instagram and follow along with the series on our Super Motocross or Supercross Live Instagrams as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me, and thanks to everybody for tuning in to Momentum. This has been a production of High Gear Success. If you want to connect or recommend a guest, head to MomentumMotorsportsPodcast.com. Until next time, keep the momentum rolling.